And look who's back. And I know what you're thinking. Oh my God, 2 videos in the last 2.5 months. This guy's actually starting to become a real YouTube channel. Don't worry about it, folks. I'm really not. I'm only just making these things to have some type of permanent record that I existed on this earth. And guns is one of the few things I know a little bit about. If you really want to see a gun channel, there's plenty of others to choose from. My particular favorite is Paul Harrell. That's why in the course of this rambling video, you'll probably hear me say a lot of things that come out of his mouth as well. Great, great channel. But let's get into it. What is this video? And I'm looking, you know what? This is my second attempt at it, and I think maybe the lighting is better because I'm using, as you could, well, you can't tell, but I'm using my laptop to make this now from my new studios here. And the video quality, I guess the first video I'm redoing it because it looked terrible. It looked like I made it in 2001. This one is okay, even though it's still kind of a low resolution. But let's get into it. I'm probably going to call this video the like gun categories. I was gonna originally call it three three guns that excuse me, 3 guns that I must have or everybody must have, but I hate telling everybody what they should do. But these are in my experience over the course of my life, firearms life, I should say. These are categories that everyone, even if they don't realize it, probably lumps their guns into. And those categories are, and these are my own names now. Oh, another reason why I'm making this video. I actually picked up another subscriber, and I do apologize. I'll put your name in probably in the comments below. And he commented on that shotgun video I made a year or so ago, where I replaced the stock in the forearm grip on my Mossberg 500. And that got me actually watching that video again. I kind of forgot that I had made it. I kind of got me watching that video again. And I referred to that gun, that shotgun, as a home defense gun. Even then, I think I even said there's a difference between a home defense gun and whatever else I call it. Let's put, for the purpose of this video, I'm going to call it the nightstand gun. And one of the big things I mentioned was the time that you have to bring the home defense gun to bear. So with that, that was the impetus for this video. Let's get into what I consider to be the categories. Enough of that crap. The 3 main categories that I say my firearms falling into, my handguns falling into, are the nightstand gun, the everyday carry gun, and the program compliance gun, which is a phrase that I heard from Paul Harrell. If that's an actual thing in the gun world, well, it's a thing, but I got it from him, program compliance. The difference between a nightstand gun and a home defense gun. A nightstand gun is not a home defense gun. A home defense gun is what you have to defend your home when you have the time. Now, when do you have the time? You're sleeping, you hear a window break downstairs. You're sleeping, the dog starts to bark and go crazy and sniff around the door. Those type of scenarios. You have time. You have time to do a few things that you ordinarily wouldn't get a chance to do. You have a time to set up a defensive perimeter in your bedroom, a locked bedroom. Lock your bedroom doors, people. Okay, it's a scary world out there. You have time to call 911. Call 911. We're not action heroes. We're not starring in our own action movie. Call 911. Let the professionals show up and handle this if they can get there in time. And you have the time to get the most suitable weapon that you have in your arsenal. And for me, and for a lot of people, that weapon is a shotgun. Yes, folks, in a gunfight, long guns win. And for me, the only long gun I have is a shotgun, and it's a damn good choice if you're gonna have a long gun. A 12 gauge shotgun is a hell of a home defense weapon, loaded with double aught buck. You can't do much better. But as I said in that shotgun video, I carry my I don't carry I keep my shotgun because shotguns don't really have, for a lot of reasons, they're different from guns as far as being drop safe and things of that nature. It's the only gun that I have available where I don't keep one in the chamber. I keep the shotgun with an empty chamber, the tube magazine loaded less the capacity, and I have the additional shells on the stock. Okay, because I have time to do what? I heard that my door's locked. I have time to call 911. I could rack this thing, whether or not it's psychological or not. I'm not going to argue that. I said my piece on that in the other video. I could top off my magazine, and I'm ready to go. That's a home defense gun. I can, if I wanted to, I can clear my house with that gun, or I could certainly sit there aiming at the door to end someone's night. Nightstand gun. A nightstand gun is entirely different. A nightstand gun is the gun that you reach to because you're in a dead sleep and suddenly you wake up because you just feel the presence in the room. We've all had that. You wake up and there's someone standing over your bed and you have that holy shit moment. I got to reach for something. I got to do it now. Perfect example. Remember that movie, The Terminator? I'm not talking about the shit remakes. I'm talking about the original 1984 version with Arnold Schwarzenegger when he was still young. Remember that scene when Sarah Connor's girlfriend is home with her boyfriend? They just finished, getting busy, and the girl's in the kitchen making a sandwich, and she has a scene with that iguana, and her boyfriend's laying in bed dead asleep, and Arnold Schwarzenegger comes in, he stands over him, and the boyfriend wakes up and goes, "Whoa!" and dives out of the way as Arnold drives his fist through the pillow. That's what the nightstand gun is for. Okay, it's that type of situation. And when you get into that situation, you need something quick, dirty, and something that's right there. And for me, that gun is a stainless steel double action revolver. Okay, this one obviously is your Ruger GP100 357 Magnum. I'll explain that in a second, but first I'm going to explain why this particular firearm over, say, a high-capacity semi-automatic pistol. Okay, and this, as you've seen from other videos, this is my Glock 19 that I carried on duty. Where I'm not going to shoot you through the camera. This is my Glock 19 I carried on duty. 15-round magazine. Oh my God, I'm in New York. This is a high capacity. I'm triggering people right now, okay? But my status as a retired Leo, I get to keep my high capacity magazines. Why not this gun? This is a great choice. If you have this gun, that's the only gun you have, by all means, run with it. This is a great choice. I don't feel undergunned carrying this thing or having this at the nightstand, but it has some disadvantages compared to a revolver. In a quick and dirty situation, and this is gonna be kind of a long segment of this video. In a quick and dirty situation, a revolver is the way to go because of just how it works. This guy might be on top of you. Well, I'll shoot myself on video. This guy might be on top of you. Revolvers will fire when someone's on top of you. Semi-autos, taking out a battery, ain't nothing happening, folks. Okay? That's just the nature of the design. Right on top of you, gun will still work. Gun gets grabbed, gun will still work. This gun gets grabbed, ain't nothing happening, folks. Okay, this is a quick and dirty gun. This is your nightstand gun. This gun is made out of stainless steel. It is heavy, and in this type of situation, that's what I'm going to go back to. Where I'm going to digress a little bit. This is how I started my law enforcement career. I carried this model NY64 .38 Special revolver by Smith & Wesson. An excellent revolver. And if this is all you have, by all means, run with it, okay? But for our purposes, being in uniform police officers, we have different needs than the average citizen. To go face down multiple assailants, to go face down one assailant with a high-capacity semi-auto, a 6-shot .38 revolver is not the way to go, okay? But it's what was issued to us, what we had to use. But this did have some advantages. Policing in New York City is a little bit of a different animal, okay? Those of you who live down south in the free states and your law enforcement down there, where you can actually say, "Stop or I'll shoot," and you can actually shoot. Well, we really can't do that. You're running down the street, the guy's running down the street with bags of money from the bank, and you can say, "Stop or I'll shoot," and bang bang. Yeah, no, you'll wind up on the front page of the paper, and then you get indicted in New York City. So that leads to a lot of situations where we're very limited as to when we could actually shoot. However, there was a lot of danger on that job. So you wound up pointing your gun at people way more than shooting people. A lot more. This gun has been pointed at a lot of people. Well, what happens in that situation is when you take a gun out to protect yourself from an imminent threat, but then the imminent threat abates, well, your gun is still out. These guns, every New York City cop, especially back in the day, will tell you, a lot of struggles, a lot of grabs for the guns, people trying to get this thing back and forth, back and forth. And what the stainless steel design of this thing lets you do a couple of things. One, it lets you get them off you. Yeah, it's what's in your hand, Okay, sometimes the radio's in your hand, sometimes the flashlight's in your hand, sometimes the nightstick's in your hand. But depending on the situation, this might be what's in your hand, and you can get somebody off you with this. It has sharp edges. It's heavy. It hurts. Yes, I have hit people with this revolver, and it works. It gets them off you. Okay. Another thing what it lets you do is I'll get into on that with the quick and dirty aspect of revolvers is you're grabbed like this. Well, that revolver will go off still. Okay, maybe if you're strong enough to grab the cylinder, you can. But really, who's not strong? You can get this thing to go off. And a quick side note before I retire this thing, because some of you seem to enjoy some of my insights into New York City Police Department. One of the retention techniques they taught us on the job back then when we were all carrying revolvers in this particular thing, we did this in physical education. One of the techniques they taught us was if someone has your gun like this and you're going back and forth with it, how you get out of it is pull backwards while simultaneously pulling the trigger. Yeah, that's what they, believe it or not, in New York City, that's what they taught us. And to the question of, well, you just shot an unarmed guy, aren't you going to get in trouble? The answer is, he's not unarmed. He has your gun, stupid. What do you think he's going to do if he gets this from you? He's wrestling a gun away from a uniformed police officer. What do you think he's going to do when he gets it? Turn it in for gun amnesty for $50? No, he's going to kill you. He's armed. If he has your gun, he is armed. By all means, pull that trigger. Get your gun back from him. He's threatening your life. I don't know what they train him to do now. Probably dial 311 and ask for the mayor's office and ask instructions from them. But that's what we were taught with these things. But I'll put this one back. This allows you to do the same thing, okay? But with the 3-inch barrel. Why the 3-inch barrel? What I'm giving up ballistically for losing that inch on a 357 Magnum, and yeah, you will lose a little bit ballistically, but it's still a hell of a round, okay? But the 3-inch barrel gives him even less. There's no way to grab this thing with any type of leverage that you're not covering that cylinder gap. And you want to see videos on what the cylinder gap will do to you? There's plenty on YouTube, okay? Or if he goes down here to avoid the cylinder gap, he's just got this in his hand. What's going to happen when that 357 slug comes out of that hole? It's going to end his night. This gun gives me all the purchase with this oversized grip. It gives me all the purchase, all the leverage, all the control, giving this person who might be on top of me, giving him nothing, while still allowing me to get those rounds off and possibly end the fight, probably end the fight, or get it away and come across, like I said, this is a heavy, heavy gun. Okay? So, quick, dirty, bring it instantly to bear. There's no safeties on this gun. There's no way to stop this thing from going off. I'm going to pull the trigger, it's going to go off. Now, I know I made a video about when my revolver stopped revolving. This was the gun. So I'm gonna also cheat a little bit from Lucky Gunner, which is what I got that video idea from. Once you get the thing after the first few hundred rounds with revolvers, this is a reliability issue. When you get past that first few hundred rounds, they said, if your revolver's working, it's going to work. You got one. You're good. And after I sent this thing in for service and it's come back, I put hundreds of rounds through it. I'm now fully confident that this thing will work all the time, all day. And the last issue, double action revolver. Okay, this is important. Okay, not the psychological thing, that type of shit. No, being able to get that single action trigger pull if you have to. Maybe you get this first guy off you, bang bang. Okay, maybe there's someone else in the house. You know what? You know now that it's not the dog, it's not the cat, it's not your kid rummaging around for cookies, it's not your wife or whatever. She's up and you didn't notice it. You know now that you're facing a home invasion situation. Do that. At least I would. You take your own choice. This, okay, is how I'm going to clean out the rest of the house and make sure everyone's safe. Your double action revolver. And why the Ruger? Again, this is what I can afford. Smith & Wesson's tend to be more expensive than Rugers. This was a good gun at a reasonable price. This is what I can afford. Paul Harrell says that all the time. It's what's available to you, what you can afford. Now, fortunately for me, even though I live in the People's Socialist Republic of New York, as a retired Leo, just about everything is available to me. I can buy whatever I want, okay, and without any problem. But I still have the issue of what I can afford. This is the best version of this gun that I could afford. I'm sure you have your 3-inch Smiths, you have your Tauruses, you have your Colts, you have all kinds of stuff I'm sure that you can get. This one was the price that I like, and I happen to like Ruger's. Actually, a little more trivia before I move on to the next topic. My first service pistol was actually a Ruger Speed 6, which was a 3-inch 38 special revolver. And I chose that gun because at the time the NYPD was kind of transitioning. It was going from the double action revolvers to the single action only, where they chopped off our hammer spur. And by the way, you'll notice this one has its hammer spur back. I had that done. Once I got this thing phased out and I knew I was going to carry it on duty anymore, I actually had a gunsmith make it a real Model 64 again. Because, it's just, what is that double action only thing? I do not like that. Now it's enjoyable to shoot at the range. Well, anyway, the 3-inch Speed 6 I had, I figured, because at the time there were no authorized off-duty guns for us to carry. There weren't any hammerless guns. The Model 640 was going to be in the works. The hammerless Smith & Wesson 38 was going to be in the works first, but it wasn't available yet. So I went into it thinking, let me get a gun that I can carry both on and off duty. And the 4-inch barrels were just too big. I think the Ruger 4-inch barrel was the Police Service 6, and the Speed 6 was the 3-inch version. The Model NY64 was the 4-inch version, and then there was a 3-inch version of that same Smith & Wesson. I like the look of the Ruger. I like the shrouded, the fully shrouded barrel, so I went with that, thinking I can carry it off duty. No, it was still about just as fucking heavy as this, even though it's only 38. You can't carry it anywhere. You can't hide this thing anywhere. And all I wound up having was a 3-inch 38 special to carry on duty. 38's underpowered to begin with. I'm going to lose an inch of barrel on it too. I shortly sold that and got myself a 4-inch Smith. Okay. Nightstand gun. Stainless steel revolver, 357. Why 357? Because for me, in my opinion, 357 ballistically is the best self-defense round you can get. I could hear the caliber war guys ramping up. I don't want to hear it. I've said before, I'm not married to these things. For me, 357 is the way to go. It chambers in a revolver, and I think it is the best against humans. Now, I know bear attacks are a real thing in this country. The greatest threat to America is bears. I saw a t-shirt like that once. I'm not concerned about waking up and there's a bear standing over my fucking bed. Against human beings, 357, pound for pound, is the best. And I've had my share of 44s. I like them. I think, actually, don't tell anybody. I think I'm going to pick up another one. But nightstand gun. That's how we go. Next category, my everyday carry gun. Now, again, for me, my everyday carry is kind of a soft, it's kind of a soft version of a duty pistol. I am retired, Leo, but I am still working, and I have a job that most retired law enforcement officers get. And in the course of that job, I find myself wearing a business suit, and I'm also armed. Now, your everyday carry might be a small, a pocket gun, a mouse gun, a this gun, that gun. So it's what you carry every day. My everyday carry has to be carried for self-defense purposes, and also it has to be effective enough that I could use it in a situation where I might be called to use it in. Okay, it's kind of a soft duty pistol for me. It'd still be small enough to be an everyday carry, and for that category, I'm going with a single stack 9mm. Okay, let me make sure that none of you get shot through the screen again. I'm going to go with a single stack 9mm. Well, why single stack 9mm? Well, it's the size. Okay, it's small. It's very thin. See, it's very thin. It can be carried in a quality holster. For me, be carried in a quality holster. Underneath business attire, or even I've worn some of the jeans and a t-shirt as well, but especially in business attire where you're wearing a suit jacket, this thing can disappear on your body. It's very small profile. It's light also. That's what the single stack gives you. It gives you the thinness and the lightness. I had a Glock 26 laying around here somewhere. Because some of you are saying, why not do a single stack? Why not get a double stack? And a Glock 26 is just about the same size as this. Yes, 11 rounds makes the gun too damn heavy, and Glock 26 is just as wide as the Glock 19. So it was like carrying a brick. I carried a Glock 26 as an off-duty for many years, and it was like carrying a brick on me. This disappears on me. It's easy to carry. Why 9mm? 9mm is actually effective. I think it's an effective round. In a short barrel, it's less effective, but it's still an effective round. So single stack 9mm. Now, what am I carrying here? Well, this is obviously a shield. Okay. Why the shield? Well, I picked this gun because at the time, this also falls into what you can afford and what's available. I bought this as an off-duty towards the end of my career. We had like two choices. Okay, so this is what's available. This is what I could legally carry. Okay, as an active police officer, this is what was authorized. This, and I think there's a Springfield Armory, the XD thing. But I didn't take the XD because I think at the time we were all supposed to be mad at Springfield Armory for some reason, and also dimensions wise, this one was just a little bit a little bit smaller. Um, so I went with this. Um, Not, again, I'm not a big Smith and Wesson guy per se, but this one, I just like the size of this. Now, since I've been retired, I've civilianized it in a couple of ways. One of the things I did is the fiber optic sights. I like them. I like them, but I actually had night sights on it, but I just like the fiber optics better for some reason. The big thing I did was I got rid of that NYPD bullshit lawyer trigger and got an Apex trigger put on this thing, and it is just dreamy. You've heard me complain about light triggers in other videos, and I stand by those statements. However, um, that trigger was just too much. It actually was making me pull the gun a little bit as I could overcome it, but I was pulling a little bit too much. It really was just an awful trigger. That's one where I've read the reviews on the Apex triggers, and the reviews are correct. This is a much better trigger, and it's not too light. It has a nice feel to it. It's definitely not too light. So the Apex trigger, and the final thing I did, which you can't see, maybe you can see it a little bit. I took the 7-round magazine and put the mag guts thing to get the additional round. How many rounds is enough? 7 or 8, blah blah blah. I looked at it as a net gain with absolutely nothing given up. Why carry 7+1 when with a 5-minute operation you can make it 8+1, and I'm gaining no size, which is going to let me go on to my next rant. With these shields and guns like this, you'll see a lot of videos with what people do to their single stack 9s, and it almost always involves some type of weird thing that comes out to here, or that put some type of optics on here, that put some type of light and laser on here, and before you know it, you got a gun that's the same size as this. Well, if you're gonna make this the same size as this, why not just fucking carry this? This has 16 rounds. As far as I'm seeing, there's no extension that has a 16-round extension on single stack on these things. I understand that that's the gun you have and you guys love it, and don't get mad at me, but consider what this is meant to be. This is a concealed carry weapon. It's meant to be small and light and thin. You add all this shit to it, now you're getting into the realm of having a service-size firearm. Everyday carry, single stack 9, in its original profile. Okay? You might disagree on that, you might not, but you can't disagree with the category. It's an everyday carry. Moving on to the last category, and that is the program compliance gun. I love that expression, program compliance. Program compliance, if I could say it, is what you're always going to have on you. Okay? And for me, and when I say always have on you, I mean you're about to go to bed, and crap, I left something in the car, I gotta run downstairs and get it. So, I'm gonna stick this gun in my pocket. God, the dog wants to go out. It's 10:30 at night, the dog wants to go out and do a little shit. You know what? I'm gonna stick this gun, put it in my pocket. I could wear this in jeans and a t-shirt. I'm always gonna have it on me. And yes, I'm a little paranoid, but I've lived in New York my entire life. The shit happens here. For me, my program compliance gun is going to be a pocket 380. A pocket 380. Well, why a pocket 380? Well, a couple of reasons. One, look at the fucking size of this thing, okay? It's tiny. It can go anywhere. It weighs nothing. And well, if you're going to say if that's the case, why not a mouse gun? Why not a 22 or 25? I just don't think 22s and 25s is an effective caliber for self-defense. Now, I don't want to get shot by one, but I do not think it's an effective caliber for self-defense. I think 380, although it's no one's favorite caliber, 380 is about as small as I feel comfortable going, where I still consider it to be effective. And I've seen it in real world use. I was a cop for 28 years. I've seen 380, pound for pound, 380 has killed more fucking people in New York City than all the calibers combined, I think. Shot placement is the key, and whether by luck or by skill, there was some pretty good shot placement going on in that city. You're going to hit somebody here, with a 380, it's going to end the fight. And again, it'll get the person off you. It'll be a nasty surprise for somebody. 380 can save your life. And this has been said many times, but I'll credit Paul Harrell with it again. The 380 in your pocket is more effective than the 357 you left at home because this is just too goddamn big to carry. Now, why this particular? This obviously you can see this is a Ruger LCP. Why the LCP? Well, it's cheap. It's available. It's what I can afford. Now, I can probably afford to buy 10 of these things. They're not that expensive. Why this one? Of the two, I actually had a Smith & Wesson Bodyguard. My first choice was Smith & Wesson Bodyguard, and I had one for a while. And I traded that recently for this. The reason being that the Bodyguard was just unacceptable for me. And why was it unacceptable? For two main reasons. The first one, I couldn't get around. The light strikes. The thing had too many light strikes. You might hear people arguing about it. Smith & Wesson might tell us something about it. People love those guns, and it was a pretty good gun. But the light strikes are something you can't ignore, and it's not an internet myth. I was getting one hammer falling and not igniting a round at least once every 2 or 3 magazines, okay? No, no bueno. I can't have that. Sometimes the first shot might be the only shot you get off. I can't hear a click. Now, yes, it had a double strike capability, so you know you can get that second trigger pull, and it always ignited on a second trigger pull. And this one obviously does not have a second strike capability, but this one doesn't need it because every time the hammer falls, the damn thing goes off. Okay, the light strikes. Smith & Wesson never fixed that issue. No matter what, they never fixed that issue. If they did, they certainly didn't notify me about it, and I registered my gun and everything. They didn't tell me they'd fix it and send it in. We'll send it back to you. And I was toying with the idea of, as I was coming towards retirement, where I was going to carry this something like this all the time, I was going to put different trigger springs in and different triggers in and blah, 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 and on and on and on. I'm adding up the cost of these things. I'm like, this gun only costs like $280. Why don't I just get a new gun? So I traded that in, and I got this. The other thing with the Smith & Wesson, although it was less of an issue for me because, as I said, I'm so used to shitty triggers, the trigger pull on the Bodyguard. I mean, are they kidding with that thing? You pull and you pull and you pull and you pull and you pull, and it breaks all the way to fuck back here. And again, with my Circus Gorilla hands, I felt like I was crushing a beer can trying to fire that thing. And everything's going this way because I'm pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling. And you really have to think about it. This, believe it or not, with this sometimes weird, it's almost like it's single action, but it's not quite single action. It's a double action sort of striker thing with an internal hammer. It's a great trigger. It really is. Nice reset. So, of all the choices, there's a lot of pocket 380s you can get out there, and again, Tauruses and all that stuff. I went with the Ruger because, I've had Rugers before, and I found them to be good guns, good reliable guns. This was the right price. I heard the internet said it had a great trigger, and it really does. I went with the Ruger LCP2 as my everyday carry gun. Well, this is getting long, but I'll finish up with a couple of thoughts. Those are my 3 categories of guns I must have. Now, I have other guns. What does everything else fall into? Everything else, unfortunately, is essentially just a range toy. Now, that's not a dirty word. Range toys are nice. I enjoy guns. I have guns. I enjoy shooting them. There's some guns that I really, really like. This one being number 1 on that list. My SR 1911. Yeah, it's another Ruger. Maybe I am a Ruger fanboy. My SR 1911. I love this gun. This gun is so accurate, so easy to shoot, so much fun to shoot. 45 ACP, I love. I'm not recoil sensitive. I don't think it has a lot of recoil at all. It points well. It has that 1911 feel in your hand. It's dead accurate. This single action trigger is just a thing of beauty. I absolutely love this gun. This is the G.I. Joe gun. For guys my age, this is the gun that G.I. Joe, I'm not talking about that 1980s bullshit Cobra G.I. Joe stuff. I'm talking about G.I. Joe, who actually probably fought Nazis and stuff. G.I. Joe, they were 12 inches tall. They came in 2 flavors, regular and Kung Fu grip. This was the sidearm that he carried. And, to me, this was the semi-automatic. This was the Army gun. This is what the Army carried. So I always wanted one. I loved it. I got it as a range toy. I'm not carrying this. Look at the size of this stupid thing. I'm not carrying this. Look how heavy this thing is. Where am I going to put this? It has no purpose for me as an everyday carry, certainly not a program compliance gun. And you must say, what about a nightstand gun? It's a 45. It's got that 45 caliber, 230 grain slug. Why not a nightstand gun? Unfortunately, and I love this, unfortunately, this gun does absolutely everything wrong for being a nightstand gun. It cannot be instantly brought to bear. How do you have from 1911s? You carry them like this, right? Safety on, cocked and locked. Okay. I got to reach for this thing now. I got to take an additional step. I have to thumb that safety. Well, some might say, well, geez, stop yourselves. Middle of the night, you got sleep in your eyes. This guy's standing over you. The action has started. You're going to remember to thumb that safety? Well, very good, John Wick, because I'm not. Okay, I'm gonna try doing this. You gotta thumb that safety. That's number one. Now after the safety's thumbed, you still got this freaking huge barrel. Okay, this huge slide that this guy's grabbing onto. He's jumping on top of you. And what are we talking about? Look at me. I'm out of battery. Ain't nothing happening, folks. Okay. You're gonna hit somebody with well, it's stainless steel, and it's certainly gonna hurt. But again, you're gonna hit someone, take it out of battery, or it's gonna hit someone, and one of these things is gonna happen. A round's gonna go through the ceiling. It does everything absolutely wrong. It's not up close and personal. It's not a quick and dirty gun. It's not. You can't bring it instantly to bear. It's just you can't strike anybody with it. I love it. It just doesn't work for me. 45 ACP aside, listen, I don't want to get shot with a 45 ACP. 45 ACP killed how many fucking people do you think in the course of those 3 wars? No, I believe me, I don't feel undergunned with this. And if this is the only thing I have to clear my house, hey, I'm good to go. It's fine by me. Nightstand gun, it fails in every aspect. So this is a range toy, and what a range toy! It's an absolute pleasure to shoot. Look at that single action trigger. Come on, folks. I groups like this with this gun. I absolutely love it. Other things, I own some other semi-autos. Here's one range toy, Ruger Speed 6. I picked this up for absolutely nothing years ago. I bought this when my service revolver didn't have a hammer. This one did, so I picked it up for nothing, just for range practice. And they're great range toys. They're fun. God knows how old this gun is, but it serves no purpose. It's too heavy. And think this serves no purpose. Now I'm not going to carry this at a 38 revolver, even if this was 357 though. Look at the size of it. It doesn't fit into any one of those categories. Doesn't mean I don't love them. Doesn't mean I'm not going to keep buying more range toys, because I'm not gonna cycle through. I'm not going to replace those other categories of guns just because I get bored. So if you sat through this long-winded presentation, thank you. Again, I kind of just do this for myself. About 32 minutes long I've been speaking. If any of you are still here, thanks a lot. Maybe in another 5 or 6 years, I'll break the 20 subscriber number. But if you have any comments, if you disagree, I don't see how anybody could disagree with the categories. I think all of you, after watching this, have probably realized that, yeah, you know what, I have the same 3 categories, and I didn't even realize it. This moron just pointed out to me. If you disagree on the specific firearms I've chosen to fit those categories, well, that's by all means, let it go. Let me know what you have, and maybe I'll even consider it. But these are the ones, these guns just kind of fell into me for the reasons that I mentioned. Other than that, thank you for attention. Thank you for watching. And I'll see if I can actually make a video where I start shooting stuff, because I'm not a bad shot. Until then, signing off. Have a great day.